Okay, I hope you guys have enough caffeine to last another 20 minutes. I'm going to try to make this short and painless. So I'm going to talk about going global, and about looking at it from a more macro perspective, and I'm going to show you my framework that I use every day. So just a little bit about myself to kind of set the context and show how this framework came to be. So I actually have a background in economics, and actually after uni I went directly to work in the fast-moving consumer good industry, where I started from the operational side, then I went to sale, and then I went to business development, where simply said my job was to enter into new markets and to develop operations abroad. So the job was quite rewarding, but it was also quite demanding. So after a while I decided to take a break, and I used the classical excuse of doing my MBA. And like the long story short, I actually ended up switching industries, and I ended up working in a company called Ulysses. And I'm kind of curious if anybody heard about this company. Yes, no? Okay, one person, so they probably should fire me. So, and basically the framework is the combination of my past experience, but in the context of the global app economy. So before I start, why should you even bother about this topic and go deep here? And the answer is quite simple, it's about growth. So when I look at the app economy, I like to look at it as a three-dimensional model, where you have the features, the platform, the geography. And basically, when you think about features, it's about adding the functions, which allows you to enter into the new product category that helps you to communicate more to your users and actually bid and focus on more keywords and expand your market. On the right, platforms. So here you think different operating systems, think different devices, think web, think different app stores. So you can go in that direction. And then there's the direction of geography. So this is where you enter into new markets and you actually go deeper in those markets and increase your market share. So once you actually have a good enough product, I urge you to go in the direction of geography first. And the reason is quite simple. When you go into the direction of feature and platform, you actually change the product. You develop it, and this is usually quite expensive and requires a lot of time and resources. While in the case of geography, what you're actually doing is you're not changing the product, you're adapting it, and you're simply communicating better. And what you're actually doing is capitalizing on what you already have. So this is something that's going to allow you to grow faster and scale, and this growth is something that can fuel your other dimensions of growth. So just to make sure that we're on the same page. So when we talk about globalization, we talk about the movement and direction of one global market, when you start to see the whole world as your playground. And internationalization is the process when you go beyond your market, when you go beyond your culture, and you enter into new ones. And localization, culturalization is basically adapting your app to the needs, fears, and wants of a different market. So simply put, the goal is to go global. The process is internationalization, and basically localization, culturalization is the level. Okay, so it looks very ugly, and this is probably because it went from keywords, but just bear with me. So so this is the framework. It looks very simple. And you might even say that it's like primitive, but that is by design, because the simpler the strategy, the less there is room for error. So here on the right, you see the countries that you would like to enter, where you have interest, and preferably that already have interest in you. On the left, you see the levels of internationalization, and the idea is quite simple. So we can go wide by entering into new markets, and you can go deep by increasing your commitment. In return, you get a higher share of revenue and market. And this is quite similar how we would work in the traditional industry. You would actually start with low commitment with direct export. Then if things go good, you increase your commitment by opening a subsidiary that does the sales and distributions. And then when you want to go all in, you produce and you open a production plant. But let's go back to the app economy and look more detail how this framework works and how you can apply it. So how do you get started? Like most apps, if you're not like super local, you already start with the default of English. And this sort of makes you global, but it makes you more appealing to English-speaking countries and English-speaking users in other countries, which is a good place to start, but it's also quite limited and it's also quite stuffy there. So I would urge you to go actually deeper. And basically the first level that actually starts is basic translation. So you translate your app, like you translate the key metadata, and you translate the text on the screenshot. So here you can go as simple as you want or as fancy. You can use simple tools such as Google Translate, DeepL, or you can hire an agency, or you can go even more creative and actually ask your community to help with the translation. So the idea here is quite simple. So what you're trying to do here, you're actually trying to address the fear of users in this market, and the biggest fear is the fear of the unknown. By simply making yourself more understandable, you already tackle that point. And we went like the traditional path. We started with English, even though we are a German company. And then after that, we added the German. And then we gradually added 10 more countries. And this is probably where most companies start and where most companies end. But I'd urge you to go even deeper. So the second stage where you actually go local is when you start to understand the needs of the market and address them. So the most simplest and basic need is to be easily found. So here you really have to understand the local search patterns and be there when they want to look for you and when they want to find you. And then, of course, it's good that they can get a feel of who you are, and also when needed, you can offer support. So it's good to translate your support materials and at least the basic FAQs as a starting point. And a point that I want to stress is also pricing. So there's a lot of debate here, but I'm more in the position that you have to have a price for that market because all markets are different, and you should adapt to the purchasing power of that country. So this is how we actually did, and this is an example for China. So we actually use the keywords in Chinese that are quite different from the keywords that we use for the US, which is our main market. Then we translated our website. We have almost all the support materials and the FAQs in Chinese. And most importantly, we adapted the pricing to the market. And we actually did a lot of price experiments where we tested the price in different countries for different points. We want to see how that affected the number of users and then the net revenue. So we actually did the unthinkable. We reduced the price by 20%. What it gave us 20% more users, and in the end just gave us like 2 or 3% more like initial revenue, which isn't much. But the surprising part is that after that, we actually had increased renewal rate of the yearly subscriptions by 40%, which was a big win for us. And we're still doing like a lot of experiments in China with the pricing, and we think that there's still more juice we can get out of there as well. Okay, so when you went, and then like the deepest level is basically when you get under the skin of the users. This is where you really want to understand. Okay, thank you. So this is where you like really want to understand what are their wants. And I think like the basic want is to kind of the basic want of the users is basically to feel that your app is native, that it has the vibe and the presence both on the App Store, on the website, And that the content that you develop, it's not just like a translation of something that you do from another language, but it's developed by the locals for the locals. That you also mingle with the locals in their channels of communication. And also that like when you have a like promotion plan for the year, and it's not something like too generic and global, but you actually align your promotion plan with the key local moments in that market. And this is good not only because it makes it relevant for the users, but also for the app stores, the local app stores. When you have something local, you have a higher chance of being featured. And last but not least, this is like a cherry on top. So if you have support and you offer support, it's would be great to have like support in the local language. This is something that we experienced when the Chinese users came to us with questions and tickets, and we kindly said to them that, okay, we can answer in English, but most of the time they just left. So here we actually have like a local staff who helps us with marketing, as well as doing the support for the Chinese market. So we did a lot of stuff. I can talk a lot. But what we try to do is to really get the feeling that we're local. So we use the local channels. There's a whole culture with QR codes in China. We used WeChat, Weibo, SSPy. And we also worked actively to create a lot of content in the local market. And basically we worked with local authors, and we tried to promote and highlight their books and show how they're active with Ulysses. And yeah, so basically, like the biggest change that we had in like with this framework is that, of course, it changed our mindset. So before we always wanted to go global, we talked a lot, but we actually went global when we really started to go local. When we started to really understand and address the few wants and needs of users in those markets. And on the more operational side, we actually started looking more into country-level data. So of course, we look at the global aggregate to get the feel of where we are. But when you really want to have a pulse on the market, understand if you're doing something right or wrong, you have to look at the inflows, the conversions, the retention, the ratings and reviews at the local level. And last thing, so growth really changed how we see growth. So growth for us is no longer like a random explosive process. It is something that happens gradually and systematically, where we either go wide or we go deep. And the beauty of it is actually that usually the previous steps and the previous success feeds the next level, as it gives us both the resource and the confidence to go deeper. And yeah, I think that's something that we should look for as we want to go not fast, but far. Just a few numbers. So before all of our efforts, China was not much on the radar. But with the basic localization, China became our second biggest market. And also there was a big shift in our top 10 countries, especially from the Asian ones, such as Japan and South Korea. And it seemed that they are more sensitive to language and culture. And as I said, the price is a very strong leverage. So if it can really hit the balance and strike the right price in the market, it can really unlock the market. And as for the website, we like localized in Chinese. We had a lot more engagement, so more Chinese users came in, they stayed longer, they did more actions, the bounce rate was lower, and they converted better. And yeah, who knows, maybe like the next step, we're going to add the Chinese website, the German website, finally. And my takeaway message, so I'm still baffled by the app economy because I actually came from a completely different industry, and the scaling and ease that the App Store offers is just unbelievable. And this is something that was in the traditional industry was the privilege and the benefit of the big companies. But here the world is truly your oyster, and I hope that this framework could be used in some way or another to help you guys to not only go wide, but to also go deep. Thank you.